Now let's move to the junctional arrhythmia. Remember, junctional has to do with the AV nodes. Okay, the first one I'll talk about is junctional escape. Now, again, as I told you, there are some rhythms. There's a few things or one thing that's classical about it, and that's all what I identified. For the junctional rhythm, the major classical thing about it, it's inverted P wave. Now, for the sake of this course, I can tell you, if you look at a rhythm and you see the P wave inverted, it is junctional. The next step to decide is it junctional escape or accelerated junctional or junctional accelerated, and that will depend on the heart rate. It's very simple. Again, so junctional escape, again, the problem is around the AV, and that's why you see a P wave inverted. So what happened in pathophysiology is that the waves are returned or re-entered. So instead of leaving the atria or the SA node area to go down to the ventricles, because of a problem within the AV, could be structure, could be an infection, could be an inflammation, move the or push back the contractions, and then as a result of that, and then let it pass down to the ventricles. But this re-entry or this blockage caused the P to be inverted. So in ECG, what you will see again, in any AV problem, usually the heart rate is below normal, subnormal. Again, especially if, as you see here, the SA node is gone. So the AV becomes the pacemaker, and as we said before, the pacemaker or the AV fires at rate between 40 and 60. So that's as far as heart rate. Second thing you will see here, it's regular. The rhythm is regular in junctionals. The major abnormal thing that distinguishes this rhythm is that the P is inverted. The QRS is normal, usually normal. There's no reason to involve ventricles, most likely normal, and then there's no way to measure the PR because the P is not normal. So again, if you look at a rhythm like this, right away, as soon as you see a P inverted, it's junctional. The second step really is to measure the heart rate. Heart rate is below 60. This is a junctional escape. What you can see there's a P again, followed by a QRS. The ratio is P to QRS is 1:1, and the P again is inverted. That's the major thing. The Okay, so the major thing, as you see, is the P is inverted, the rhythm is regular, and the PR is normal, and the QRS is normal. So what's really here is difference and distinguish this rhythm. Number one is the P inverted. Number two, the heart rate is below 60. At this point, for this course, you can stop and say this is a junctional escape, and everything is still normal. The other one is called rapid junctional or accelerated junctional. The same exact criteria. The only difference is the heart rate. The heart rate is between 60 to 100. So again, the heart rate is normal between 60 to 100. The P, it's regular. The P is inverted. That's the major thing, and everything is the same. So if you look at the rhythm again, you see the P is inverted. Now, you will look here, it's like, where is the P? Now, because this is a little faster, the P is inverted, but because it's fast, you may not see it inverted, so you can see it as it's impeded or within or under or covered by the QRS. So for the exams, I won't trick you for anything like that. But basically, if you don't see a P wave, where is this QRS coming from? There's no way. So there must be a P wave, but it is not showed here because it is inverted, and the QRS is fast because this is heart rate of 80 here. But again, it's regular with a normal heart rate. The only major difference is the P is inverted and everything else is normal. So since the heart rate is between 60 to 100, this is called rapid junctional or accelerated junctional. This is the only two. Now, the other junctional where you could see a P inverted, and whenever the heart rate is above 100, we call it junctional tachycardia. Now that's really not common and it's hard to identify. So as you see, every time the heart rate is faster, it's hard to see the P inverted. So I will make sure that the rhythm has the P inverted. Now, the other arrhythmias that has to do with the AV, there are three of them, or four actually. One, it's two types, and that's the heart block. Now, these are important because they're common. Okay, the first degree heart block. Again, I want to remind you again, the AV, what the AV does, it slows down the atrial rate, and it slows down or prolongs the time or controls the time between the firing of the SA node until it causes ventricular contraction. And we said that AV and the AV node activity is represented in ECG as the period between the P and the QRS. So the major change in the AV block here, the AV block means that the AV is blocking the P waves, is it either make it longer or prevent it from passing down and causing a QRS. So the major thing that distinguishes the AV block's rhythm is the long PR interval. The major thing that distinguish the junctional rhythms is the inverted P wave. As you see, so each rhythm, it has its own one or two things that only found in this rhythm, and that will make life easy for you. You will be able to identify the rhythm just by looking at some of these rhythms. Okay, so again, we agreed now AV blocks means it's a PR problems. The PR intervals is long. So let's see now, first degree, second degree, and third degree. Again, first degree means it's not major, second degree is worse, and third degree is the worst. So here, the pathology in the prolongation of the PR intervals. Now, in the first degree, every P wave will eventually pass and cause a QRS contraction. Every P will cause a QRS contraction, which means the ratio between P and QRS is 1:1. And this is major to distinguish first degree from second degree from third degree. So first degree is minor. So what is the problem? The problem is the AV hold the P waves longer than normal, but eventually the P will pass. I want you to think of the AV as a gate, as an electronic gate that has an issue at this point. So think of first degree as the gate that, if you live in a complex with a gate and this gate's open fast, usually let you go out. Now it's open slowly, making everybody late. But eventually everybody will get out of the gate. So the ratio is 1:1. So what is abnormal here in the first degree is, first of all, let's look at the heart rate. The heart rate could be normal, but most likely will be low because, again, the delay of the P passing down to Q as a QRS will also delay the contraction and make the heart rate usually low. This is regular rhythm because the blockage is regular. P wave is normal. There's no problem with SA. It gives you a normal P wave. The ratio is 1:1 because, as I said, the AV only will hold the P wave but eventually will pass and cause a QRS. There's nothing wrong with a QRS with the ventricle, so it should be normal. And the QRS width should be normal. The only abnormal, for sure abnormal, is the PR here. The PR from the beginning of the P to the beginning of the QRS will be longer than normal, longer than 0.2, which is 5 boxes. But it always has the same length. So it's longer, but has the same length. So let's see how that in ECG. Again, you look at this rhythm, it looks perfect. Let's see. Number one is the heart rate. Heart rate is below 60. So this way you can eliminate so far many of what you learn. You can eliminate normal sinus rhythm. You can eliminate sinus arrhythmia. You can eliminate sinus tachycardia because all of these rhythms, they have heart rate of above 60 and so on. The second thing is look, it's regular. Well, it is almost regular. It is almost regular, but this is still continue. They continue to be the first degree. The other thing is you see a normal P followed by QRS. So this way, cannot be atrial, and cannot be junctional. You can eliminate every rhythm where the P wave is not normal, because this is a normal P wave. All right, so the next thing is, this looks like could be a sinus bradycardia, but let's see. The next step is the PR. Look how long the PR is, 0.32, and it's always 0.32. It's always regular. This is called sinus block, actually. It doesn't change the rhythm here. But look what is wrong here. The only thing wrong is the PR is long and it's constantly long, but the P to QRS is still the same. So this is what I want you to do, or just to help. Okay, if you have a rhythm and you find the PR to be longer than normal, stop and look at the PR, the P to QRS ratio. If it's 1:1, you're done. It is a first degree AV block. So first degree AV block, two things. The PR is longer than normal but regular, and the ratio of P to QRS is 1:1. That's it. Everything else should be normal. Now, the second degree, there are two types of second degree. Now, let's go back to that gate. We said in first degree, the gate opens slowly, but let everybody pass. What happens in here, the malfunction of the gate, is that the gate will open. Again, imagine with me a gate of a complex that you're leaving, or you live in and now leaving. The gate opens to let some of the cars get out. Imagine every car to be a P, and then the gate starts closing abnormally. This closure, as you see the gate is closing, some of the cars will pass and then eventually will stop. The gate will close and will hold 1 P, and it doesn't let it pass down to cause a QRS. So again, in first degree, all P waves eventually will pass down and cause a QRS. In the second degree, there will be a block of some of the P waves. Now it depends if it's the first degree or second degree. Let's talk about them. The first type, second degree type 1, what happens here is the PR progressively elongates. Remember, in first degree, it's long, but it's consistent. Here, it keeps getting longer and longer and longer until it blocks 1 P. And again, think of the gate thing. So what you will see, again, the heart rate variable, but most likely will be lower than 60, because again, it keeps delaying. It causes delaying. Now, since the PR keeps prolongate, then the R to R intervals will not be consistent. And that's what distinguishes the first degree. The PR is always abnormal, longer than normal, but keeps getting longer and longer, meaning keeps delay more and more. So, and then the other thing is the PR, there's always 1 P in each cycle, only 1 P that's being blocked. Okay, so let's see here in this gate. When this gate open in 2:1, the gate open and closed, let only 1 car leaves and held the other car. So only 1 P moved and caused 1 QRS. When you see 2 P's followed by 1 QRS, that means one of these P's was blocked by the AV. They all were generated by the SA. But when they went down to pass the AV gate, the AV let 1 pass and block the other one. So that's why we see in ECG 2 P's followed by 1 QRS. Or it could be 3 P's, okay? So the AV allowed 2 to pass and held 1. Or 4 to 3. So whatever the ratio is there's always 1 less QRSs than P's. And again, the PR intervals keep getting longer and longer. So, what is second degree in ECG? So, let me tell you something. If you find the PR to, it keeps getting longer, then that's it. That's what's classical about second degree. The second step is it first degree or type 1 or type 2. So let's see. This heart rate is normal, as you see in this patient, and the rhythm is irregular. So when you see an irregular rhythm, you can eliminate all those are regular. And then the second thing you see, there's a normal P wave, so you can eliminate all the rhythms that usually or that they have abnormal P waves. See what is the difference here. First, let's see at the PR. It started normal with 0.12, got up to 0.28, got up to 32, and then guess what? There's a P that's not followed by a QRS, and there's another P. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4 P's, but there is 1, 2, 3 QRS's. So again, a PR that keeps getting longer, and one dropped QRS, one P that's not followed by QRS. That's it. That's second degree type 1. And then guess what? It goes back. The cycle starts again, and here you go. So here you can see the area, you can imagine the area from here, all right, from here to right here. This is a gate. You can imagine this is a gate. Now the gate is open from all the way to here, all right, and got closed right here. So every piece here passes down and causes a QRS, but this one was blocked. Okay, let's talk about the second degree AV block type 2. Now we covered type 1. We said in type 1 there's only one P that's being blocked. So if you look at cycle of 4 beats, 3 P's will followed by QRS and then 1 will be blocked. The major difference between type 2 and type 1 of the second degree is in type 2 there are multiple P waves that are being blocked, not only one. So the PR usually do not prolong, but there are intermittent non-conducted P waves, not conducting that the P doesn't cause a QRSs. So simply, again, heart rate could vary. Usually the rhythm regular, but could be irregular. It's usually irregular. The P waves, the shape is normal, but there are multiple of them are blocked. So again, the major difference here is you see multiple P waves blocked. Like you could see a ratio of 3 to 1 or 4 to 1 instead of 3 to 2 and 4 to 3 as we saw in the first degree. So let's see this rhythm. Okay, heart rate of 60, so you can eliminate anything below 60. Look at the rhythm as you see here, it's irregular, most likely will be irregular because we have blocks here. So there's a PQRS and PQRS and PQRS. So let's see what's happening here. So you got this P cause a QRS, and then the following P was blocked. Then the cycle start. Now we have P, P, and then you have another P and another P. So this until here, you could say that this is this is a second degree type 1 because you have 1 and then 1 was blocked. So the ratio is 1, 2 to only 1 QRS. However, we're going to look at the whole rhythm, all right? The whole rhythm, not only one area. So let's see what happens here. You have P followed by QRS, P followed by QRS, and then you have a P that's not followed by QRS, and another P that's not followed by QRS. All right, so if you look at this, you will find that there are multiple P waves, not only one. So that will make this second degree type 2, and then the cycle starts again. So again, if you see multiple P's that being blocked, so you can think of this as again back to the gate, and if you want to start right here, so the gate is open from here to here, let only one car to pass and then closed. So the other 2 cars were blocked. And then the gate opens again here and let 2 or 3 P's pass and then stopped, and maybe at that point blocked 2 or 3 P's and so on. So simply if you have multiple P's being blocked, then it's a second degree AV block type 2. Alrighty, and the last one is the third degree AV block, or what we call it complete heart block. By the way, some books use this heart instead of AV, says second degree heart block or first degree heart block. but we'll use a third degree, we'll use an AV block. So a third degree AV block means it's completely blocked, which means none of the P waves pass and cause a QRS. So this gate is completely locked. No car can leave. So where is the heart rate coming from? At this point, SA node is gone, AV node is gone, so the next is bundle of Hess. Remember, in the conduction system, the natural pacemaker is SA at a rate of 60 to 100. If that stops working, AV will start and fire at rate from 40 to 60. In this case, AV is not working, so somebody else has to assume that pacemaking or pacemaker role, and in this case will be bundle of Hess, and since again the farther from the SA node, the lower the rate that can fires. So what you will see here, independent conduction. The SA conducts and creates P waves. However, the AV completely is closed and none of these P waves will pass. Now don't get confused. When you see a P wave on the ECG, it doesn't mean it's a heart rate. Heart rate is the QRS. So you could see a P wave, but unless it's followed by a QRS, that's when you can say that the P causes, or this P causes a heart rate. So let's see what we see here. First of all, none of the P waves again will pass. The heart rate will be pretty slow here. So this patient, they usually need a pacemaker. So heart rate almost always low because the SA conduction or SA impulses is not passing, and the AV just blocking and not firing. So the bundle of Hess will fire and it's always below 60. It's regular because there's no sinus problem here, so the P is coming from the SA, but they just don't pass. All the P's are blocked, and that can lead to, again, independent firing from the ventricles. There is no relationship between P and a QRS because the P's are not passing to cause QRS. Now, the QRS could be normal or wide, and the PR, it's always long. And that's what really differentiate or distinguish AV blocks in general. So what differentiates the third degree AV block is that every P is blocked. So here what we see. Now again, you're gonna count the QRSs. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I give you a heart rate of 40. And then the other thing is, I want you to notice again, it is regular, and there are P waves. Now you could say, oh well, here's a P wave and followed by a QRS. Here's a P wave but followed by a QRS. This is not the QRS that's caused by a P wave. This is a ventricular contraction. And that's what distinguishes it. Let me go back and say, so see the shape of the P of the QRS here? What you will see, the Q is going up, and then the R goes down, and then the S, so it's completely upside down. And that's what that's a ventricular contraction, and we'll talk about PVCs later and show you how they are similar. This, when you see this, that means this QRS is not caused by P, because if it was normal QRS, you will see a P, Q, R, S, T. But you will see this is an independent ventricular contraction. It's an odd in its own, and there is a P, but there is a long AV, and it's blocked completely. So since none of these P's, none of these P's is causing QRS, so basically there's a block here. So it's useless. The P is firing, but unfortunately it's not causing. The ventricles will wait, and then when no P will pass because the AV decided not to block all of them, then the ventricles will contract on their own. Again, this contraction is not strong, and it's a very small rate, and that's why this patient may be symptomatic. Their cardiac output is low, they may have hypotension, and then the heart rate may goes down. So although the natural pacemaker is working as a P, but there's no way to fix the AV, so that's why we have to get a pacemaker, and it will be connected directly to the ventricles and give the rate that we need between 60 to 100. So this patient, almost always they need a pacemaker. And that concludes the junctional rhythms.